Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Combo Convo. Today we're reviewing Captain America Civil War. Yeah! So Vic, this is our next comic book movie review. We reviewed, I guess you can call it a review of Batman vs. Superman. It was more preaching to the people of what to expect how they should expect something better from DC. But today we're talking about Captain America Civil War. Now, we just finished watching it. And before we get into breaking it down, let's give the people a little hint of where your brain is at with this movie. What is the quick Vic review of this movie? Positive, negative, in between?
Mine's is mainly positive. You know, like with any movie, you know, I don't think there's such a thing as called a perfect film.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I really liked this film. I really did. I thought it was a success on Marvel's part and the Russo brothers' part, Marvel's part. I mean, Disney's part, the whole nine.
Yeah, the writers.
Yeah, everybody was good. The actors were on point for this. I mean, it was a hit, like a true hit. You know.
Yeah.
A true hit, not like where you make money and then you save because you made your money and stuff, like a hit, like kind of like what Superman and Batman did. I'm gonna throw that out there. You know, like where no, you made money, but it was also a good film. Like there wasn't. There wasn't like, there's stuff about it, like I said, that I didn't quite like, you know what I'm saying? But for the most part, I liked like everything about the film. Okay. For the most part.
Same here. And moving forward, like we said, look, we're big DC fans, DC comic book fans. The only reason why we're talking about something DC not doing or comparing it to DC is because, especially for this movie, I felt like there was a lot of tones and a lot of messages that Batman vs. Superman had that this movie as well had, and I think executed it a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible not to go ahead and talk about one and not talk about the other when they were both going for the same thing. Yeah. Except the execution, like you said, was different. Like it was drastically different.
Oh yeah.
There's just so many similarities and stuff. So I felt like when I was watching this, I was like, you know, I'm like, this is really like Batman, Civil War, Superman, Civil War. Yeah. You know, I felt like it was just like
it's very similar.
Like it was very similar, but it just had like such a drastic difference in results. Like it was so like it was like amazing. Like I saw what they were trying to do.
Right.
And I saw what ended up happening. Like okay, this is what we could have gotten.
Right. And it's major props to the Russo brothers. I mean, they hit it out the park with Winter Soldier. You know, that was a game changer for Marvel. Introduced the world to the Russo brothers as action movie directors and good directors. And I felt with this movie, you know, it's the same thing. You know, they took the action up another level. They made sure that the story was a little, you know, definitely a Captain America movie within a Marvel world that they're already creating, because obviously now the world is a lot bigger with heroes, so you have to incorporate all these heroes that are within that world.
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
So let's talk about the good. What were some of the highlights of the movie that you thought?
I thought the story was real good. I liked like some stuff I thought was like real genius and stuff. Like I thought that how they tied in Winter Soldier. Mm-hmm. I loved like the beginning and the end. Like what happened when they show Stark talk to MIT students and whatnot, and they have like this whole virtual kind of world that he's simulating from his past. Yeah, I like that, and I was like, I didn't think that scene would be like have really anything to do with everything else going on. I thought, okay, this is more what was going on with Tony, his kind of regrets with his father, more about like, you know, and then you seen at the end with Winter Soldier, and I'm like, okay,
oh shit.
So at that point, that really got me. I was like, genius. So you're telling me that you're showing that scene where he want, like, I wish he had a proper goodbye with his parents, that regret of not going ahead and being the son that they wanted. Yep. And then you seen who took that away from you, who took away all those opportunities away from you, and he's right there. Because I was thinking about when I was watching the film. Yeah. I was like, right now he's cool with them. Like, but I remember in the trailers
that they fight.
There has a fight. Yeah. Like, it comes down between Iron Man versus Captain America and Winter Soldier. Yeah. So where does that come in? Because I'm like, how does that happen? Yeah. I was like, you know, is it gonna be some weird, stupid shit? I'm like, guys, let's hold it together. Let's bring it in. Yeah. Then they showed that, and I was like, genius. Yeah. Genius. I mean, who would ever thought? And I was like...
And I like how they got that from Winter Soldier, because if you remember Winter Soldier, when Cap is looking at all the screens, Cap sees that one of the screens is Howard Stark dies in a car crash, and what's his name, the guy inside the computer, he goes, yeah, we change history if need be. So right there, Cap is already getting an idea like, oh shit, Howard Stark got killed by Winter Soldier. So it's not like they just invented this for just this movie. It's already been planned. It's just like you said, they were slowly letting the audience know, like, okay, 1991, the car accident, all the unresolved issues that Tony always had about his father. It wasn't like they just put it in this film. They planted that since the beginning of the film. Even in part 2, where Tony's looking at his father and his father's like, my greatest invention is you. Like, you already can tell that there is some unresolved feelings, and the capper of that was, like you said, when he was at MIT, is like, you see the moment that he regrets the most, which is not telling his parents like, hey, maybe I should have been a better son or whatever. And it leads up to that 1991, and that moment is such a payoff at the end, because it's like you said, you see it in props to Robert Downey Jr., because you see it in his face. He's like, what is this? I know what this is, what's going on. And then as it starts unfolding, and you're like, oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was real genius how he written that. And also what I felt like when I was watching some of the films, some of the fighting and stuff, I remember, so we had discussion about this in the previous, like, well, they're friends and stuff, like they're friends fighting friends.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get like a certain kind of like elements that I was looking for, and I said, and I was like, but how do they create that? You know what I'm saying? How do they create something what I'm looking for and whatnot, where there's a lot on stake? You know what I'm saying? Where now somebody is legitimately trying to kill each other. Because the only one at this point was going into their first clash with the heroes fighting was Black Panther. He was really the only one who.
Spider-Man was in there only for a little bit. You're right.
No, I'm talking about like Black Panther legitimately trying to kill one of the
members.
Which goes back to Winter Soldier. Like, he was trying to kill him and stuff in their fight. And I was like, okay, everybody else is like just trying to handle each other.
Right.
But this guy right here is legitimately trying to kill this guy. So, I like that scene a lot. Then I was trying to figure out, okay, but now how do we get these other guys to get like that too?
Right.
Now it makes sense at the end scene and whatnot. It was definitely interesting, and I thought it was pretty genius.
I like how they included everybody. Like, the story, again, it was a Captain America story, but you already have the Avengers kind of built in. So I like how they started off. Cap is leading the team to find Crossbones. He's like, okay, we got to do this. So they're already a continuation of Ultron. And then throughout the whole story, I never felt like a character was just in there just to be thrown in there. Like, I felt like everybody played their part. Even with Spider-Man, even though Spider-Man was kind of something Tony had up his sleeve. You can tell when he first met Spider-Man, like, he's been keeping tabs on this kid and seeing when would be the right time to kind of approach him. Even that, I felt like, was integrated in a way where it didn't stick out too much, where it's just like, I feel like these characters are just putting in the story just to have them in there. Like, everybody had their moment. Everybody had a reason to be there. I like the fact that the tone of the story had that balance of it being a serious movie, it being a funny movie, it being an action movie, but knowing when to play those parts.
Well, also a comic book movie. That's
and a big time, big time.
I feel like a lot of films are lacking when it comes to, again, that comic book-esque feel to it.
Yeah.
Batman, Superman. No, I'm gonna keep hitting that right there, because listen, like, that wasn't a comic book movie. They weren't trying to even make a Batman Superman film at all. This was actually it didn't just seem like a Captain America film to me. It seemed like Captain America Iron Man film.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what I felt. I felt like starring two people and stuff.
Yeah.
I know people were banking to see a Captain America film, but you got a lot more than that. Or Avengers Part
2.5.
3. You know what I'm saying? Something like that.
Yeah.
I felt like it was definitely like when
balanced.
It comes to that. Yeah.
And it was balanced. Like, I feel like every time that there was a moment to be serious, it was good. Then they had the funny moments, and then they had the action moments. I never felt like the tone went too dark or too light. Like, there was just a right amount to keep you in the story engaged and not have to worry like, oh, that's kind of cheesy, or oh, that's kind of dark. It's like, even moments where, people saying like, oh, this person died because of you, or what do we do, is like, it felt more serious, not dark. And I think that was the best way to approach this film, because, again, and I hate to compare it to Batman vs Superman, but you can see when you go too dark, it's kind of hard to dig out of that hole and have those funny moments and have those other set pieces happen because you're just going way too dark. And here they kept it on the surface of like there needs to be something that's what I loved about this movie. It's like the idea was, what do you do when heroes are around? What are the repercussions? How did the government act? And then how do heroes act when they're on different sides? And I felt like the whole movie, that even though Cap and Iron Man and everybody were on different sides, at the core, they're reminding each other, okay, but we're still heroes. We're not bad guys. It's just we really don't want the other one we want to show the other one this is the way you should be seeing things. And I love that throughout the movie, like they kept it like, oh, you're throwing your punches, or oh, you want to go easy on them, and they have these moments of back and forth where it's like, look, we're still heroes. We're not villains. It's not like all of a sudden we're turning these heroes into villains. It's just they're still heroes. It's just they have differences, and this is how super powered people have their differences. They fight because they can. They can take the punches. They can take the hits. So yeah, to me, that's what I felt I loved about the story, was it really hit home that these are heroes that have issues, that have problems. What else about the story? I think that's pretty much it. I mean, I again, the story was very well thought out. You had everybody have their moments. And then the big resolve of Tony Stark, getting his family, his mother and father killed by Winter Soldier. I mean, I saw it twice, and the first time I saw it, and everybody in the theater gasped. Like, it was the same moment, the same thing you were thinking. It was just like, oh shit, like damn, that's crazy that this guy did it. And I think that goes to a good story. It's like you're so invested in these characters that when shit happens, you feel it. You feel it just like if the character would feel it. And that's what you want with a good script, where you as the audience member can put yourself or can relate to the person in some way, somehow that's on screen. And then, of course, we have the characters. What do you think? I mean, we had a lot of returning characters. We had a lot of new characters. I love Black Panther.
Black Panther, I liked him a lot, too. I was wondering, like, how he was going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes back to like what I was saying before. We had a conversation about this, like off side topic.
Yeah.
But they wanted to do a Black Panther film like years ago. I'm talking like years ago.
A long time ago.
And they never got around to do it. So much so that they were actually going to cast Wesley Snipes to be Black Panther back when Wesley Snipes was like doing Blade.
Yeah.
And like he was the it guy. Like, you want to turn around as a black superhero, let's get Wesley Snipes and stuff to do this. And he killed it with Blade.
Just don't ask him for taxes.
Yeah. But that's how far back they were asking. And then it's like, damn, like we could have really had Black Panther back then. Like, really, But the fact that they waited and to do it now, I felt like it's even better because now with there being a Marvel Studios within the Disney and whatnot, like they could go out there and like, one, they had the budget. Two, besides the budget, they have more structure to this as well. Mm-hmm. Like it wasn't just been like a solo film that has nothing to do with this world. Mm-hmm. But I like this character, like there were moments and stuff where I'm such a big Captain America fan. Yeah. I was like, like, oh, you trying to step to him, dude? Like, really? Like this dude would dust you. And I've read a lot of comic books where both of them fought. Yeah. And I know in the comic books they've always been evenly matched. Yeah. But Captain America's always been a slight better than him in like in almost every aspect, just a slight better. But it was interesting seeing like him, his interaction with all the characters. Like he had a different interaction with Black Widow, which there was a lot of interaction between the two of them. Yeah. Interaction with Captain America, interaction with Winter Soldier, interaction with Tony Stark. Yeah. There was a lot of interaction with his character. And like I was wondering how much of a pivotal role can he play in this world. You know what I'm saying? And especially being a new character.
Oh yeah.
And I thought they really handled it very well.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
The introduction of Wakanda, the introduction of him.
Yeah, also like letting people know where the vibranium comes from. I mean, they established that prior. Yeah. Like in one of the other films and stuff.
Age of Ultron.
Yeah. Age of Ultron, but like now it's okay. But now you're seeing the source. Like you're really seeing it, and now you're seeing like a new character from this world, and it's opened up more worlds and stuff. Which I liked how they did this, where they didn't just toss him out there. This is Black Panther, and boom.
Yeah.
No, actually, before they even show him as Black Panther, they show him as the Prince.
Yeah.
The Prince of Wakanda.
Yeah.
I like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, like you don't even really quite know, like especially if you never read the comic books, or you didn't really like hear about any of the rumors and stuff, you didn't really know this was gonna be Black Panther.
Right.
And they were, I felt like they were doing it that way also to kind of also keep it like a little mystery to some other people.
Right.
Or like, other people were like, okay, he's there. If any shit goes down, you still got this guy still here.
Exactly.
So I thought that was really interesting and stuff, having this character.
And plus it puts a face and not just a mask. Like, it's good to know the character first before just showing up as that character.
Yeah.
Because then now you can relate more or really feel about, like, I felt like because they introduced him first as himself, and then the tragedy happens, and then he puts the costume on. It's like,
I mean, there was really only 2 times he was really the prince. Well, the prince when he became the king was one in the beginning. He's the prince.
Yeah.
Then after all that, he's really Black Panther, Black Panther, Black Panther, and then at the end, I'm the king. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you have that. So I thought that was interesting how they did his character.
I like that little scene where his bodyguard or his girl, whatever, is like walking up to Black Widow, and she's like, "Get out the way," and then he's like, "As much as I'd like to see that, like, she could probably whoop your ass, but let's not fight right now." So I like how they're introducing, especially at the end. We'll talk about the ending, but I like how they're really building on his character. Like, no, this isn't a throwaway. This isn't a sidekick. Like, there's a reason why he has his own movie, and we're gonna introduce stuff that will be little hints of what's to come for Black Panther. The same thing with Spider-Man. I feel like they introduced Peter Parker before Spider-Man, and they introduced Queens. Like, they showed the Queens, the New York aspect of it. What'd you think about Spider-Man? What'd you think about Tom Holland as the new Peter Parker?
I liked him. You know what I'm saying? I liked him, and I'm comparing this off the comic book, because you always got to compare the movie stuff to comic book stuff, you know? And I know a lot of people say, oh, it's different. No, listen, the movie's based off a comic book. Let's compare it to the comic book. Let's show respect to the comic book fans.
Yeah.
And when it comes to this, comparing to that, I'm also comparing to the other 2 idiots who played Spider-Man in the past. Because I really didn't like, I really didn't like any of them. I know, like,
Andrew
people
Garfield, right?
went out there and they signed off on Tobey Maguire as being him. I never really did. I told you, like,
he never really.
For me, I'm like, nah, he's not Spider-Man. He's too old to be Spider-Man. He's I don't know. Like, I never liked him as Spider-Man. This kid here, I was unsure about him in the beginning. Like, I would like to see. I'm more curious about him in a solo film, not like Black Panther. At the end of this film, I'm sold on him.
Right.
This kid, I'm not quite sold on him as being Spider-Man just quite yet. Okay. I want to see how he is in his own solo film.
Okay.
And I felt like with his character, I'll be honest with you, I would have actually liked him not to have his character in the film. I know a lot of people probably go, shit, like, Spider-Man's got to be in the film. Listen, when I'm about story, okay, I feel like there was so much going on, they didn't really need his character. And mind you, he was just thrown in the last minute. And it felt not exactly last minute kind of thrown in, but it also felt like he didn't really quite need to be there, Like, he did make a lot of the action scenes more interesting.
Yeah.
And that's really all I felt he really brought to the table was, like, okay, giving us hot fight scenes,
Yeah.
And for me, I need more than that. I'm not quite sold on. I got to really see his solo film before to really go out there and sign off on him, And but for what I've seen, the little bit I've already seen, he's already superior to these.
Well,
other
for one,
guys.
he looks like a teenager. He is a teenager. He looks like he is
you
in
need
high
that.
school.
I mean, I had told people like about this kid being in it and stuff. He's like, why is he in high school? So that's what the comic books have. Like, that's what his original character started off in.
Yeah.
He's a high school student. He's still in high school and he starts doing these adventures. Then later on he goes to college. Then later on he's just, he's going out there and doing his own thing.
That's the part of his story is like, imagine being in high school, you're already dealing with puberty and everything else, and now you're dealing with, oh my God, I can be a superhero. Like, that's his whole story. With
his character, I kind of equate like the way they kind of had him in there, when they didn't have him in here anymore. I felt was a little similar to when they introduced Quicksilver. And I'm not talking about for the Marvel one and stuff with the Avengers and stuff. I'm talking about the X-Men one, where he was there, such a important character, such a game-changing character. Then you kind of take him out and stuff, saying, okay, you're done, kid, and stuff. I was like, nah, like, he shouldn't be done. Like, this kid is, he definitely was like kicking ass in it, and I want to see more of him. But I understand they weren't going to give you more of him. Like, his, even though his role was done, I didn't feel like they need to kind of say that,
Right.
It would. I would have been curious to see like what would the film have been like without him in it, And I know I'll probably get shit for that because I know everybody like really loves him and loves his character, and I'm a Spider-Man fan myself.
I can see where you're coming from, though. I feel like, yes, if you do take out Spider-Man, you could get away with not having him in the story. I feel, though, that his introduction was a lot better than a lot of
introductions. Oh, no, listen. His introduction was like, I like the fact that
just that 5-minute scene is a little bit.
Peter Parker. Yeah. I like the fact they just had him in there. Like, he wasn't like, here I am, I'm Flash and stuff, and I'm just going to appear on camera. Yeah, you don't know who the hell I am, but I'm the Flash. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Here I am, Aquaman. Here I am, I'm Wonder Woman. They're not just tossing that out there. Yeah. Like, they're building it up. They're giving you time with the character to go out there and really be like, okay, but this is our new Spider-Man, okay? This is what they did with Spider-Man. This is what we're going to do with Spider-Man, okay? We're going to be different about this. We're really going to try to establish his character. Yeah, he'll have his own solo film later on. But for now, this is kind of what we're going to give you,
Yeah, they introed him, nicely with Tony Stark talking to him. They're both tech guys. And, him even telling him, like, why do you want to do this? And he's like, when you... It's a better way of saying with great power comes great responsibilities, because they said that so many times. But I like that he kind of said it in a different way. He was like, when you don't have powers, and bad things happens, is like, whatever. But when bad stuff happens and you have powers, you feel like it's your fault because... you could have stopped it. You just now there's that burden of something's going on. I have the powers to stop it. So
yeah, I mean that.
I love that. I love that he was like genuinely like, no, I want to help people because I know, that this is what I have to do if I have these powers.
Yeah, I mean, I think they definitely casted right for this role and stuff.
Yeah. Aunt May? What about Aunt May?
No, she's too old. She's too young. She's
too
hot.
Aunts come in different sizes.
Yeah, they're trying to beat that over the head. It's like Diane Lane playing Superman's mom and stuff. You can make her look like an old lady all she wants.
Aunt May is
still
hot
Diane
now.
Lane. She's still hot. I just like it wasn't that long ago. She was unfaithful. You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on. Like
Aunt May is hot right now, right?
They kept her hot. Marissa Tomei. I'm like, what's she doing? Is his mother still alive? I'm confused. But it's her. I'm like, nah, get out of here.
I'd rather that than old Aunt May. This Aunt May, woo.
Listen,
Aunt May.
I want them.
Yeah, Aunt May.
They should have left her like the comic books. Make her just sweet old lady. I mean,
she could still be sweet. Just
they don't have to get the same chick as the last one. I hated her. They just get a different old lady.
She was weird. She sounded kind of British. I was like, wait, is his? Oh, you talking about Sally Field, or are you talking about the one before Sally Field?
No, I'm talking about the one before.
Yeah,
Sally Field.
I didn't like. I was like, she looks apart, but it just feels too weird.
Sally Field was a bad Aunt May.
Aunt
May. But listen, they gotta go.
Mr. May.
I want my old Aunt May.
Let her grow. Let her. Woo!
But like I said, it's one of those things where I'm like, those are one I could kind of nitpick on.
Yeah.
But listen, it's not that like she's an important character in this world.
Yeah.
She's not like a break it character in this world either. You know what I'm saying? But
you're right. We'd have to wait.
But she does give him like a foundation and stuff for his character, so that's really important.
Yeah.
And Toy Tree could get that despite how old she could. Like they want to. She's older than him. That's the important thing.
Yeah. He's 16. She's 50s. There's enough. There's enough gap.
She's older than him and stuff. But I thought it was funny, like with Tony Stark, I said you got your hot aunt and stuff. And I'm like, yeah.
And I heard online they've been in 2 movies together already. Robert Downey and Marissa Tomei back in the 80s and 90s.
Oh yeah. I don't know which one. But I'm pretty sure. I mean, they both go back.
But speaking about characters, what about the return of Ross? Ross coming back.
Okay, yeah. I thought that was interesting and stuff because the last time we seen him was at the end of the Incredible Hulk.
And he was sort of a bad guy. He was sort of like
no, he was never a bad guy. He just misunderstood. I mean, all reality, the heroes think the same way he does when it comes to the Hulk in the first place.
True.
I mean, at one point, the whole World Breaker Hulk storyline goes. And stuff. The World Hulk storyline goes that the heroes end up getting rid of the Hulk. Send him off world. You know what I'm saying? Because he couldn't be controlled. Same thing with him.
True.
He wanted to he knew this is like a unstoppable raging monster that he was really afraid of, and the fact he's like in close proximity to his daughter always.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, dude, I'm gonna have a beef with you too. Like it's understandable, and I love the Hulk. He's like one of my favorite characters, but I don't understand where the beef comes from.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was interesting, and I it's like a little bit of a surprise. Oh shit, okay, Secretary of State.
Mm-hmm.
So then it's him. I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. He will retire as a general. Then he would get a position like that,
mm-hmm.
and whatnot. Like, yeah, but
I didn't think about it that way. Yeah, you're right. Because I was like, oh, it's interesting to see that this kind of villainous character is now all of a sudden.
No, he's not a villain. That's just it. Like, he's not really a villain. Like, the leader is a villain for the Hulk. Yeah, Abomination's a villain for the Hulk. He's not really a villain. Like, he's just the country. He's a guy just doing his job and stuff. Like, he's doing his duty. You know, he's serving his country. You know. So like when it comes to this character, I like this character being in the film. Because he's all about order and structure, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, and that's what, you know, that's what any military man is about, you know, order and structure.
And that's how it was in this movie. You know,
he was bringing that to the table, you know, and I like that because, you know, he always feels like when it comes to these heroes, they need to be checked and stuff. Mm-hmm. And like the government is always going to try to check, you know, pretty much everything they could if they could, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Everything they could if they could. And his character's all about that. So who else would be the one to kind of reel this in but him?
True.
So I felt like he was very important in this. I liked him, you know?
Yeah, he brought up a lot of good points. You know, what I liked about the movie is like they showed you kind of both sides of the coin, is like what Cap kind of sees is right and what Iron Man kind of sees was right. And, you know, I like the line that Ross said. He's like, do you even know where Hulk and Thor is? And they couldn't say anything. He's like, yeah. So, like, if I was misplacing a megaton bomb, people would hold me responsible for that.
Yeah, people will hold you responsible. However, what I was waiting for one of their characters to say in response to that was like, you try to you control the Hulk, he's gonna go ahead and Hulk, okay? He's gonna Hulk smash, okay? Because you tried to do that in the past. That's exactly what happened. The friction between him and the Hulk. He tries to interfere in the Hulk's life. The Hulk, it just makes a more enraged Hulk whenever you try to combine the Hulk, you know, to confine him. And then when it comes to Thor, it's like, listen, he's off world because he's a god. Right. Try to stop a god and not try to create a war with Asgard, and let's see how far that gets you. So when you're trying to go out there and control certain people, you're not going to be able to control everybody.
True.
You got to pick and choose your battle, General, because at the end of the day, you know, remember what happened when you did this with the Hulk. Like, there's a few instances. Remember this.
Just
like,
be happy the Hulk is not around. That means that we're in good. Yeah. We're in good hands.
Like,
if you see the Hulk, or if you're next to him,
like, you can't stop him. So just kind of leave him be. So the only thing we could do is what he kind of did at the end and stuff. At the end of the Incredible Hulk film, I can't control you, but what I could do is kind of aim you. Well, at least that's what Bruce Banner has said to him. Right, his response was like, I can't control him, but what I could do is direct him, and he directed him towards Abomination, and that's exactly what he did. Yeah. He just dropped them on him and stuff. So I was waiting for one of them to come at him with that. Like, these are the things. Like, if I'm writing this, that's one of the things I would have used. I like the lines he was hitting them back up, but I was waiting for the response, and I was waiting for that response to come from, let's just say, Captain America, or let's just say Iron Man, because Iron Man was a little bit more. Captain America wasn't really in play when the Hulk came around. You know, at that time he was still frozen. It was Iron Man. I was waiting for Iron Man to come in and do that.
Yeah,
you understand? Iron Man was more leaning towards signing the act. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and leading up to that, you know, that's again what I love about the world building that Marvel has done, because we have so many movies before. You can see the arc of Tony being kind of, you know, embracing Iron Man, and then having that thing happen with Avengers and come back and just be so worried about protecting people. You know, that's why you know, him and Pepper kind of split ways, because he's just always thinking about how do I protect people. So his state of mind is so different from when he started, that the thing that tips him over is when you have what's her name, Alfre Woodard.
Yeah, Alfre Woodard. Yeah.
When she gives him, you know, a face to the what he's thinking about. Like, yeah, I know people die, but it's like, boom, here's a face. Here's somebody. This is a person that's connected to me. You made him die, and no matter what you're gonna do, you can't bring him back. And that's what makes Tony just kind of side with Ross, because he's like, look, before I was against all this, and now I see as a futurist that this is going to come down, and he kept saying that. He's like, this is going to come down a lot harder, so I have to embrace this and work with it. And I love that we see the effect of that
mean, I do like that, but also kind of shows like something about his character that I never liked. I didn't like that about him in the comic books. I don't like that about him in the movie and stuff, because if she would have did that with like Captain America, she would have did that with some of the other characters, like they would have like buffered away from that from the beginning.
Well, yeah, that's
it would have been like, you know, like, listen, he died, he's a casualty of war, but had we not have been at Sokovia, a lot more people would, the whole planet would have been doomed. You know what I'm saying?
But that's what I love, because the very next scene was Cap talking to Scarlet Witch, and she's like, you know what? I can't believe that I killed those people. He's like, look, people are gonna die. That's just like you said. It's just that's just what happens. But we have to accept the small deaths so we can protect it from being even bigger. So I love that they're showing you the differences in ideals that these two characters have.
Yeah, that's the thing I love about Captain America. You know what I'm saying? That that's why he's one of my favorite characters. He's a soldier, and as a former soldier myself, you know, I see a lot of similarities in him that I see within myself.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, he will learn different lessons. For instance, he knows that there's no such thing as like this peaceful kind of war. There's no such thing as that. In any war, there's always casualties.
Yeah.
And he understands that. And he actually told Tony this in the first Avengers film.
Yeah.
He has said, you know, saying like you never lost anybody and stuff. You know, this happens in war. You know.
And then
like,
Tony got upset. And he's like, I'm not a soldier.
Yeah, he got not a soldier and stuff. And he's, you know, always trying to tell him to soldier up, soldier up. And there was another line in the film later on and stuff. Kind of about Tony and stuff about like when he was telling Captain America about like a lot of stuff that happened. Help me out with this one. Yeah. It was like pretty much that what was it he had said? He had said, "Oh, that's because you joined the Avengers." He say you're destroying the Avengers. You know what I'm saying? Oh, he said, "No, you know the Avengers were destroyed when you got in the team."
Yeah, when you signed.
Because think about it. It's like, yeah, dude, most of this stuff happened really because of him.
Yeah.
Ultron happened because of him. Okay, let's forget about that. You want to put Sokovia on somebody? Listen, Sokovia's on you. Yeah. Okay. You making Ironmonger and stuff. That was you.
Well, he also said that because Tony was like, "Look, I'm trying to make you sign, and you're making this worse. You're breaking the team apart." He's like, "No, when you signed, you broke the team apart because he knows Cap is really the leader of the Avengers, and Tony basically just overrode him and just said, you know what, I'm gonna sign." And Cap saw it. He's like, "You can't do like." We have to be together. Like, that's the only way we're going to win. Like, you're so scared of what's going to happen in the future that you basically split us apart. And that's what Cap was trying to tell Tony is like, you're not accepting of what I see and what I've been through. And you're just saying, no, I can see the future. I know this is what we have to do without really looking at Cap and being like, Cap, you're a soldier. You know what's going on. Because think about it. Think where Cap came from. Cap came from the era of, like you said, he's a soldier. He was a soldier in Winter Soldier. He was the company man. But then he realized, he was like, holy crap, Hydra was embedded in the government. The government is, can be easily manipulated. Now I have to think a little bit. I need to be a soldier and think like a soldier, but I can't be as naive to think that the government is so perfect. That's why we need to kind of step back and be our own Avengers. And that's what he said. He was like, look, what if we work for the UN and all of a sudden they say you can't go there because they have an agenda? He's like, politics, somebody always has an agenda. And he told Tony, he's like, sometimes the best hands is still our own. If we stay away from the government, we're able to look at things differently. And I think that was, again, the growth of the character, because when he started off, he's like, yep, I'm Army, this. Yeah, I'm all about S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm wearing the S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of Captain America colors. And then that happened, and that changed him. That was like, oh wow, it's not as, certain things are not as black and white as I thought they were.
Well, with him, I think it was always like that from the beginning, because when Winter Soldier first kind of when they first started off that film, he was already having that conflict from what happened in Avengers.
Right.
Like when he goes out there and puts the weapons in front of Nick Fury's character. And says, this is what's happening right now. This is your idea of trust. This is your idea of controlling us.
Right.
And whatnot. And it was always kind of been like that. I mean, anytime that for Cap experience, see, Tony's very smart. He's definitely genius level. Yeah. But in all reality, he doesn't have the common sense that Steve Rogers has. He's not as smart as him in other aspects. He sees like what happens when you try to control too much. They try to control the Hulk. Man, they created that thing where they're gonna drop him off the helicarrier and stuff, and he was like, "Oh, so that's what you're gonna do to me?" Yeah, well, guess what? It wouldn't work. You know what I'm saying? And whatnot. Like anytime they've ever tried to control a situation, they always made the situation worse.
Worse, yeah.
And it's every time, and he understands this.
Didn't he say that? And he said that in Age of Ultron. He's like, every time you try to prevent, what did he say?
Anytime. Well, it was in Winter Soldier actually. He said anytime you try to stop a war from happening before it happens, you create a bigger war. Yeah. And that's exactly what what this is. It was, they were trying to stop this, and they created a more of a bad situation. Yeah. I mean, now You know what I'm saying?
You got like Dark Avengers. And,
I mean, you got
you got like
Avengers versus the West Coast Avengers. You know,
but that's the great thing about this story is that you're able to see two heroes' point of view, and just like you said, there's a clear division, but at the end of the day, there's still talks. There's still you're actually hearing somebody's point of view. And I know, again, we were talking, you kind of have to compare it to Batman versus Superman. Again, I feel like that was what was missing. I mean, a lot of things were missing from that movie, but you had the opportunity in this movie to really explore a hero's mind and see why Tony is doing the things he's doing and why Cap is doing the things he's doing. So it makes it, a greater story to see the conflict come ahead.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't stop not fighting each other because their mothers had the same first names or something like that.
It's the opposite. They started fighting because one of them killed his mother. So.
Yeah, I mean, the fight happened like that, and then they originally stopped fighting because it's like, okay, it was a mistake.
It was a mistake.
It was a mistake that the enemy. Mind you, the master manipulator, which was Zemo at the end of the day, went out there and did. Not like Lex Luthor getting in this dude's head and make like a mental midget, you got to go do this and stuff. And he's like, yeah, I'm so weak-minded. Let me go ahead and let me just listen to you, Zemo played a good part. He played a good role.
Yeah, what'd you think about Zemo? What'd you think? Because I know he's a little different from the
he's a lot different. One, he's not wearing the mask. He's not wearing the costume. I understand they're making a different version of him.
Yeah.
I liked his character a lot. Yeah. The only thing I wish they would have had, it was kind of like what they did with Baron von Schmucker and the other one. In the Ultron.
Oh, like update.
They didn't really when it comes to his physicality, it wasn't there. Mm. They took him out relatively quick, and this you didn't really chance to get to see kick-ass Zemo, right? Because Zemo is he's not quite a physical equal to Captain America because he can never really contend with him in that sense, but he can contend with him in a sense like what they did with what's his name? The Leaper, GSP's character.
Oh, Batroc.
Yeah, Batroc. Yeah, Batroc. Where he could give him somewhat of a fight.
Yeah.
I didn't really get a chance to see that. I thought they were going to do that with him and Black Panther, but they ended that and they kind of squashed that right away, even though they established him as a character would have been able to have something from him in the fight.
Yeah, because he was a trained soldier. Yeah, I think Zemo
trained special forces soldier, so it's like he should have had something for him other than just kind of laying down for him, in that sense. I was hoping they would have there was another opportunity to have a good fight scene right there. Yeah. It could have lasted only a couple minutes. I just wanted to see something more of that because that's something about the character that's always been established in the comic books.
Yeah.
That normally he'll have his henchmen, go out there and do the dirty work for him. But when his back was to the wall, it's like, okay, Captain, step into me. I'm the only one left. Let's go. And he brings it to him. He never wins a fight with him and stuff, but he's still an impressive a villain when it comes to that. But in this, they had more. He's like the master manipulator type. Definitely, he kind of reminded me of similarities to the Joker in The Dark Knight, where he was just really good. He was playing chess with people when everybody else was kind of playing checkers. And I liked his character in that sense. And that was one great movie I liked that DC did, which was Dark Knight. That was actually my favorite one of theirs. Because once again, it goes back to the story. Yeah. And the story with him, I felt was real good. And I kind of want to see more of that. Yeah. I felt like Civil War was an idea that they should have used in in a future, story arc. Mm-hmm. Like a phase 4 or 5 or even 6 or 7. I would have used that when it comes to that because I felt like it was too soon for it. And that was one of my things I said beforehand. Mm-hmm. But I'm gonna kind of judge this movie based off of the movie in itself. Yeah. But that's one thing I would have liked to see when I saw Zemo in there and saw everything he was doing. It couldn't help make me wonder. It's like I wanted to kind of have them keep that original title, Super Society. Yeah. I kind of wanted to be about the wrap up between Hydra and Captain America. And maybe take a few of these other characters and have them intertwined in this that fits within that realm. Yeah. Instead of making kind of like a Avengers 3. You know?
I think with Zemo they could have easily just named him somebody else and he would have been fine. I think he fit in the story. I think he served the purpose. Like you said, he's a master manipulator. Because if you do keep it as Zemo, I did kind of want to see a little more.
Yeah, I mean, if they were gonna do that, what I would have probably had is this is the first step of MODOK. I would have had a MODOK, but he wasn't quite MODOK yet. This is just like the first step. And later on in another film, maybe make him MODOK.
Yeah.
I would have kind of did that, and I would have probably wrapped that up in like in the next Iron Man film, Iron Man 4.
Yeah.
With MODOK.
But yeah, I think overall, like you said, yeah, that was my beef too. It's just, you know, a great character. I think he served the purpose. He was playing the, you know, and I love that line where he's like, look, I know I can't beat these superhero powered people physically, but mentally, that's the different story. If I can break, what he said, if I can ruin an empire from within, it's a lot different from trying to do it from the outside. So I felt like he was a very smart character.
He was. I mean, he knew that he couldn't contend with them. He said it's stronger and better than me have.
Yeah.
So how do I contend with them and stuff? Well, they'll contend with each other.
Yeah, I'll have them kill each other.
And I thought it was interesting too, because I thought what we were going to get at the end scene would have been the Winter Soldiers versus Winter Soldier, Captain America, Black Panther, and Iron Man, because they were already established that these guys were even more badass than Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wow. So it's gonna take the crew to take these guys on, and that's the case. But then I liked how he kind of stepped. Yeah. He was like, I didn't like the first Winter Soldier. I didn't like the first Captain America.
I don't like any of these superpowered people, so why? He even said, he's like, why would I even? I don't like any of you guys, why would I make more?
And I thought that was so genius, because it was like being like, wait a second, if you don't like them, then why are you using them? You know what I'm saying? So I did like that, you know, like, I'm like, no, that's perfect. Yeah, that makes
I love that.
hell of a lot of sense, you know, and it's better this way, you know? Which is, I wanted to see that Serpent Society film and stuff, you know, like just kind of build more upon that. But like I said, for the film itself, it was great.
Good villain.
I also like the fact they wrapped up some other characters that they showed in the Winter Soldier. Crossbones.
Yep.
Yeah, I like the fact they wrapped up business with him.
Do you think they should have killed him off? Do you think that may have been too quick to kill him off? Or
they were trying to set up, once again, if they were doing a Serpent Society film, I don't think they would have killed him off real quick. But the fact that this film was going to become something more, something a little, I won't say bigger, just something different. That they were going for.
Yeah.
That they had to kill him off in that sense, because when it would been just too chaotic with him being still around. You know what I'm saying? Because there was a lot going on. And that's what goes back to, I told you in the past, that's the thing I was worried about this film. I didn't really sign off on this film. Even when I saw the trailers or anything, I didn't sign off on this film because I have a bad history. Well, we all have a bad history when it comes to whenever they have a lot of character heavy films. Everything else falls to the wayside, because now you're trying to establish this character, and that character. Something lacks.
Yeah.
So they had no choice but to get rid of him the way they did, because he just would have been too chaotic to still have around. And I thought they were going to go ahead and show Batroc in this and kind of wrap things up with him and stuff. But it was just too much. It's just too much. Like, I was like, where could you even fit him in this?
Batroc's probably like, all right, no, there's too many people. Not yet.
Yeah, it's way too many people. So I thought that was interesting with that whole aspect of this character.
He looked cool. I like the
I mean, it was hot. I like the fight scene between him and these guys, you know, and it was that. I mean, the action in it.
Well, yeah, let's talk about the action. The action, wow. Wow, the action was amazing in this film. I think that there were about 3 big fights. There was the opening fight with Crossbones. There was the Bucky getaway from Cap. From Cap found them, and I forgot where they were. And then the airport fight and the end fight. Let's talk about, a little back history on the fighting. Of course, Anthony and Joe Russo, Winter Soldier. You can tell these guys love action movies. They know how to shoot action, but they also got help from their friends, and these are the guys that did The Raid and John Wick, which are very, very good stylistic movies.
John Wick, not such a good movie, but action-wise
is
it was good.
And The Raid, is the same thing. The story might be a little wishy-washy, but the action very hand-to-hand, type of thing. And so let's talk about it. What did you think about the fighting? What did you think about the opening fight with Crossbones and that whole action sequence?
Just like Winter Soldier, like with the Batroc and whatnot, I felt like this was just equal to that, you know? Like, the fighting was just good. I was like, they're always going to give you a taste for things to come.
And Widow was kicking ass.
Yeah, they were all going at it. I mean, she's always kicking ass and stuff. Like, that's the thing I like about these Russo brothers. Like, they really have a grasp on how to go ahead and handle multiple different kind of characters.
Yeah.
Because you've seen Falcon doing more things with his wings.
Yeah.
They introduced, you know what I'm saying?
his little bird.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they I forgot what they call
Red Wing.
it.
Red Wing. Red Wing.
They introduced that, because I was wondering, I was like, in comic books, there's a real falcon they use and stuff. So I was like, well, obviously they're not going to do that again. And no, when I saw it, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's slick, that's smart. I like that. All the action was just amazing. Let's just say the entire film only would have had that. I think it still would have been enough because it was great.
But they kept.
Then it's like that chasing. It's like normally we're used to chase scenes with just guys in a car, guys on a motorcycle. You got guys on a car, guys on a bike,
but
guys running. You know what I'm saying? Superpower style.
Think about how that chase scene started. It started all the way back to Bucky at his apartment. So you had the apartment fight, you had the stairwell fight, you had the rooftop fight. Then you had the chase.
Yeah, I mean, it was so high. It was like, okay, we got the German special forces soldiers are coming. I was like, German special forces versus Captain America and Winter Soldier. This is gonna be crazy. And then they're going at it with them, and I was like, oh yeah, like this living up to it and stuff. And it was genius. Then they threw in Black Panther in the mix. And then it's like, okay, so now it's just got fucking crazy. Like it's even crazier.
Then it becomes a chase scene.
Then it becomes a chase scene.
They're outrunning cars.
They're outrunning them and stuff. And it's like it's never been done before like that. Yeah. The only chase scene I could equate back even comes remotely close to that would be in Terminator 2. The T-1000 going ahead and chasing after John Connor and the Terminators and stuff. I thought that's the only thing that comes that close, you know. And I can't say that this was better than that because it was definitely different.
It fit.
It was definitely different for that times. That was like,
that's the best.
It was as good as it gets. And this right here fit for the times, and it was like, wow.
Like when he grabbed the motorcycle, when Bucky grabbed the motorcycle.
Yeah, when he just got the dude off of there and stuff, and he started going, and
Black Panther's hanging off of the car, and he jumps on Falcon, and it's just like one after the other,
like
after
moving
the other,
like a Black Panther and stuff. Like he's very fast and stuff. Like it was a hot fight scene and stuff, and it's like, okay. It's like, okay, now if it would just been those two fight scenes, I would have been good.
Fine. Then you have Bucky escaping from being held captive.
Yeah, and he's been held captive and stuff and whatnot. I thought that was a cool fight scene too.
Seeing T'Challa out of the costume.
Yeah,
trying to kick Bucky.
I mean, like he's like it's like first he's fighting him in costume, and now he's fighting him like without the costume. You say, okay, let's see how good this guy could be without it.
Yeah,
and he's just as good. So it's like it was just amazing, like watching all like the fight sequences happen. It's just a lot of fight sequences, but it wasn't like a lot of fight sequences in the sense like all you were getting was fight
in there. Yeah, just like let's just have a fight.
Let's just have action. Okay, boom, action. Yeah, boom, action.
It made sense.
Because if you do that, then, like I say, all you guys are Tony Jaa or one of them kung fu action flicks and stuff. Yeah, where it's just action, no story.
Out of nowhere, it's just like, oh, we're fighting now. Yeah. What's going on?
Yeah, it's just look, there's a fight going on and stuff. Like it makes no sense while we're fighting, but hey, you're gonna watch some cool action right now. Yeah. No, it made sense, and that's the thing I liked about it. It all flowed with each other. Yeah. Yeah, everything, like one thing happened after the next, but it all made sense.
Even the airport fight. Then the airport fight, you have the what I think is the quintessential comic book. Like when they said it's straight from a comic book, like there are moments where I'm like, this literally is a comic book come to life.
A team on team battle. You got the team on team stare off. The run, the face off, the face off. I mean, it was just hot. Then it's like the switch up fighting. It's like, here you go. You got Ant-Man versus Black Widow. You got
Ant-Man versus
Ant-Man versus War Machine. Ant-Man versus Spider-Man. You know what I'm saying? Ant-Man versus Iron Man. Captain America versus Black Panther. Yep. Captain America versus Iron Man. Yep. Captain America versus Spider-Man. Yep. Spider-Man versus Winter Soldier. I mean, it's just a lot going on. Yep. It's like it's like I was like, I wonder how many of them they're gonna sync up with each other and stuff, and it's just like it is so
everybody
much.
Fought, yeah.
Everybody at one point got a piece of the other person and stuff.
Yep.
It was a crazy fight scene. I was like, man, how's this one gonna end?
And you had like that whole fight between Cap and Spider-Man, and that whole thing is like, where you from, kid? Queens, Brooklyn.
Yeah. Us from being from the Bronx and stuff. I was like,
only East Coasters, because it's funny. I think West Coasters might not get that, but East Coasters could get like how much that means. Like you're in New York City, but you're so much of your borough that you just saying like Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx. You know, it's like everybody has their thing. So it was great to see that. But the fight between Spider-Man and Cap, I thought that was great. I thought it was a cool intro to like Spider-Man's powers, Spider-Man fighting and having jokes with Bucky and Falcon. I thought that was great. And then the introduction of now we have a Giant Man, which is funny. I think we were talking beforehand, and you were saying like, yeah, I mean, I wonder if they're gonna introduce Giant Man because you know that's what he becomes. You know, he has that power, and they definitely did in this movie. He's learning how to become, you know, use that type of power. But I thought that was great. What do you think about Giant Man being in the
I thought it was good. I mean, I thought they were gonna do that for his next solo film and stuff. Like they're gonna introduce that with him. But they did it for this, and I'm like, well, they needed it because they were like little underman with power,
yeah.
You know. But I thought that was pretty cool, like how they did that. You know, showing him doing that. Now you got to see kind of the giant world, you know, how he was moving, how strong he was.
Mm-hmm.
I thought with that they could have probably done a little bit more with that, you know. Like
Yeah.
I want to see that action with him be just a little different.
Little
But I
more
also
control.
thought it was pretty ingenious how they defeated him. It was actually Spider-Man had the idea.
From Star Wars, which
Yeah.
is funny.
You know, like which goes back to like them like really know how to utilize a kid for what he is. You know? Like he you know, and also him being a great inventor, him being real. The thing about Spider-Man, he's a fighting genius. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he knows how to beat opponents who are stronger than him, bigger than him, quicker than him. I mean, that's how he's always beaten Venom and stuff. You know, Venom is like a next version, a step up version of himself.
Yeah.
He still is able to beat him, able to go out there and contend with Carnage. You know.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I like about that character. And I like how he went out there and it's like, okay, Star Wars, you know, let's go ahead. And I like the team ups were crazy.
The team ups were wow.
You know, we got Iron Man and War Machine coming in there and just clocking the dude and laying him out. You know, I thought all the fighting like for that scene was just crazy, and it was long too.
It was long.
Like
16
it was like
minutes. I told you it was 16 minutes long.
Yeah, it was good.
And everybody had their moment. Like Vision had his moment. Scarlet Witch even had her moment when she's like throwing people off. Like she's like, stop pulling your punches, and she's throwing people off.
And Hawkeye had his moment. That's the thing about it. I felt like I would like to see a little bit more done with Hawkeye.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I still feel like, man, it's like that character still like people just don't know.
Yeah.
It's like you guys see
a little bit.
In the Green Arrow, you know, TV series, how hot he is. I'm like, okay, if he had his own series too, like he would be just hotter than him. No, hotter than him because he's in reality. He's better than Green Arrow.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I'm like, it's just, but they established him kind of wrong in the others.
Yeah.
You know, but
he did good. He was fighting.
Did good.
He did a lot of fighting in this.
Yeah,
one.
I mean, he probably would have beaten Black Widow. You know, he probably would have beaten him. Like even this chick made mention of that, and he technically could. In the comic books.
I like how Ant-Man was like, when Vision went through him, he's like, somebody just went inside me. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about his character, it's no one I'm not sold on. It's his character. I didn't like him in the Ant-Man film.
You didn't like him in here that much?
I'm like, he's kind of staying, like there's one point that kind of summarized it for me. With, he was like, everybody else having their moment with Tony when they're in prison. And he's over there and be like, oh, you know, saying
Pym always said never to trust the Stark.
He's like, who are you? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, yeah, for real, shut up, dude. You had your time. Like, stay the fuck out of this. Like, let the adults talk.
I think it's always like I said. I feel like he's good in doses. Like, I don't feel like he should have a full movie. I feel like when he's part of
his character, Ant-Man should have never had his own film. At the end of the day, like he was not meant to have his own film. I was very surprised at that. They should have just introduced him as an Avenger.
And now he has Ant-Man and the Wasp that's coming out in 2 years, I think. Or next year.
I mean, like I said, he shouldn't have his own film.
But I felt in this film it was just the right enough amount. It was like he's part of the
like
team.
he's not there, but he also felt kind of weird to me. Like even when how they still have him where he's kind of like unsure of himself, and he's still kind of like, oh, I'm just glad just to be a part of this and whatnot. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's how it feels in the film to me, dude. Like you're just lucky to kind of be here, you know. And
I thought he was funny.
No, he's funny. Don't get me wrong and stuff. He just kind of like I don't know, there's something about him.
You're wanting a little bit more of him being more
assertive. It's like something in this picture doesn't fit, you know, and it's like, okay, what doesn't fit here? You, dude, you, get out of here.
Yeah, so I mean, the airport fight, that was a huge, fight that was amazing. I mean, like I said, there was moments where I'm like, man, this is like, I can't believe this is like a comic book come to life. Like the last time I felt that way was Avengers. You know, the first Avengers. I was like, oh wow.
Well, Winter Soldier too. Winter Soldier.
Oh, Winter Soldier, of course. But Winter Soldier, I, you know, it's such a great like political thriller superhero movie. Like there's so much wrapped into Winter Soldier that you know it's really really good. But you know, again, so the airport fight. Then we get to the big fight at the end, which we were talking about, which is Bucky finds, you know, Iron Man finds out Bucky killed his parents. And then we have that end fight, which is just so emotionally heavy, that fight. You know, there's so much behind those punches. There's so much behind, you know, the drama of them fighting that I was like, man, this is, you know, we had that big fight. You know, you had the airport fight. You're thinking that's the big fight. But then you have this fight, which is like, no, this is building up to everything. This is it right here. And I liked how, you know, Steve is trying to, you know, Captain America's trying to fight him with the shield. And Tony's just like, you know, he's not really holding back like he was before at the airport. What'd you think about that end fight? What'd you think?
I thought it was hot. I thought it was definitely epic and stuff. Like Cap's like hitting him with everything he has, and he's hitting him as hard as he could. Same thing with Winter Soldier. I thought it was always interesting Winter Soldier fighting these guys because he still got that kind of assassin's mentality. Because when he gets like Iron Man, and he's got like his hand, like his iron hand, like going right for that that chest plate and stuff. He's trying to rip it out, and I'm like, this character's so great. You know, this character's so great. Like I don't want to see anything happen to him.
Yeah.
You know? I mean.
He has that, like you said, the assassin's mentality where he's like, oh, it's coming in. Like, I have to,
yeah,
you know.
It's like, yeah, I'm going to stop this dude right now.
What'd you think about him losing his arm, that whole, like, emotional, like.
Yeah, I was like, oh, man, they took his arm away. And, like, how's that going to affect him and stuff? But even with this dude one arm, he's still going to be badass. That's a great thing about him. It's like I said, he was already augmented prior and stuff, like the other Winter Soldiers, you know. And whatnot, but the arm did give him a little bit more of an edge because he was definitely utilizing that when he would block bullets and stuff, and you know what I'm saying, like going after Iron Man in that sense.
What'd you think of the part where I thought it was interesting where Tony's talking to Friday and Friday's like, oh, you can't beat him hand to hand, and he's just like, analyze, and she's like analyzing his punches, and then he's like, okay, countermeasure. What'd you think about that? Like him.
I thought that was interesting because I was like, yeah, in all reality, he cannot go toe to toe with. I mean, Captain America in the comic books, he is one of Marvel's best martial artists there is, you know, in that world. Mm-hmm. He's not the very best, but he's definitely one top 10. Yeah. He's top 10 in that world. I mean, like this guy here, he is. I wouldn't say he's Marvel's version of Batman, but like him and Batman go toe to toe with each other. He's equal to him, you know. But he's a little stronger, a little quicker. Batman's a little bit of a better fighter, but this dude is like, you know, like it's gonna be hard for him to keep up with that. Which goes back to what I said, and I saw it from the trailer. And this is what I was talking to about Winter Soldier. That little brief skirmish that him and Iron Man had, where he didn't have the suit on. I was like, he can't contend with him even for that long. Like he wouldn't be able to dodge a punch from him and whatnot. And you saw that. He had the suit on. Yeah. He couldn't keep up. This is exactly what I'm talking about. And I felt like that was like, nah, you guys messed up. You guys should have had a part where there would have been a little bit more, like maybe at least half his suit on for him to contend with Winter Soldier like that. Yeah. Because Winter Soldier is just too badass. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was taken into the dude with his suit on. Yeah. Now, mind you, Iron Man is not as strong in the movies as he is in the comic books. So the fact they established that and stuff, you know, because normally if I saw Captain America and Winter Soldier like taking punches from Iron Man in the comic books, I'm like, there's no way that can happen. Mm-hmm. Like one punch, he's gonna lay even one of them out. You know, if he doesn't block with shield or he doesn't block with that arm, he's gonna lay him out. But the version they had, because like I said, Marvel still hasn't. That's one thing about Marvel. They still haven't quite gotten a grasp of like the levels of these guys, where these characters are at. Yeah. I'm talking about the powerful people like the Hulk, Iron Man, and Thor. That's one thing DC did with the only thing I liked in
Batman v Superman.
Yeah, in that shit film and stuff was like they understand their levels.
The power levels.
You know, like when Batman's hitting Superman without the suit, he can't move him. It's just like that. It's just staying still. When here, Captain America and Winter Soldier are a little stronger than Batman, so they're gonna hit a little harder. Because you know they're enhanced soldiers, but even though Batman's pretty much almost enhanced himself without being enhanced, still I felt like you know, because of the world they established, I like that scene. But then when you have that other scene where he's gonna catch a bullet, and he's even if it's only lasting a few seconds and stuff, like 5 seconds, you know, with him and Winter Soldier, I'm like, no, because this dude took out Falcon, who was a trained like martial art. He's a trained soldier. You know what I'm saying? He took him out, laid him out and stuff.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get laid out in like you're gonna get laid out even quicker.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
No, I
that's
agree.
this thing goes back to that.
I agree.
This is what they established. It would be one thing if they established Tony Stark. I'm talking about Iron Man. I'm talking about Tony Stark as being something else. No, they
As being a
established
trained,
him as not being that guy. It goes back to that.
And there's too much left in the air. It's like, yeah, he was kind of training boxing when he was with Happy, but they never expanded
not
on
to
that.
the level of like he doesn't have the time.
Yeah.
Even his character didn't have the time to do like what Falcon did.
The training that he would need to actually do straight up hand to hand without any of his gadgets.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it would be like the fight would end relatively quick in comparison.
Well, that'll bring us to what were some of the things, some of the negatives that you thought about the film. Was that
like it's very little. Like the only for the film, I can't really say really too many negatives. I can say things I would have done differently.
Right,
but as far as like
parts,
the film,
yeah.
like if I just had to rate the film as itself, there really isn't anything. I mean, there really isn't anything.
Yeah.
I like Ant-Man better in this than I liked him in the other film. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, because they know how to use the character better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just felt like they're working with what they already established. You know, Tony's establishes this.
Yeah.
Ant-Man's establishes this. And now we're trying to establish a Spider-Man. They have a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
You know, where even Josh Whedon, who I love him like a lot as far as being a director goes, even he couldn't balance what they're balancing. Now somebody could say, well, they're using two brothers and stuff. Well, hey, if that's what you got to do, it's what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? To make a good film, it's what you got to do. That's what you got to do.
Well, I think
you know, Zack Snyder needs to go out there and get like a fight choreographer and get somebody else like a side director to come in like Christopher Nolan. Then do that.
Do it, yeah.
Then let him do the story.
Don't just
and you can do the action.
Yeah, don't
you know
just executive produce.
Then you do the action, but get that information. I don't mind Angelina Jolie going and asking Clint Eastwood and Steven Spielberg for tips so she can go ahead and make a good directing debut of a war film. You know what I'm saying?
That's what you're supposed to do.
You know, like she did in Unbreakable.
You
know,
Unbroken, I think.
Unbroken, yeah. Unbroken. So that's what you got to do. I mean, listen, you got one shot to make a good film, and you want to make it as best as you can. And I appreciate that they really went all out, and they were really trying to make a fan film and everything else, and they were trying to make a film that really has no negatives. So, and I felt like when I was watching this, there really is no negatives.
Yeah.
And for the world they established, I liked it a lot. Like I really don't have any gripes about it. Like mine's are very minor. Very minor. Yeah. Like it's very hard.
It's like picking stuff here and there, but not.
And like I said,
not an overall
Marissa Tomei is me nitpicking. You know what I'm saying? And that may not necessarily have anything to do with the.
Well, the thing I love about this movie is that it really is the culmination of years of work. Like you're seeing years of Iron Man films, you know, Captain America films, you know, all this stuff, you know, learning, okay, Age of Ultron, maybe the producers were like, okay, maybe our hands were a little bit too much into it because now, you know, even Josh Whedon kind of mentioned it where he was like, yeah, I was getting a lot of notes and there's some stuff that maybe I should have done differently. So you can tell that it's a work in progress, and it all culminates to now where they, like you said, they understand that they've built a world. They're utilizing the world that they build and knowing how to use these characters without making them feel too shoehorned in or not giving them enough personality to be like, oh, I like this character more than just a costume or more than just a thing. Like it's there. It's part of the story.
I mean, Sharon Carter. The first film, they had her into this one. Like, yes, I'm an agent, but I also know how to fight, and that's which comes back to she say Tony's ass in that sense. And they know how to utilize people. You know, Nick Fury was in that one film and stuff. They knew, like, listen, this is a guy who, you know, he's the head of Shield. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's gonna know a thing or two about fighting. You know, so we could give him a good action scene. We could give Agent Carter action scene. We're not just gonna throw her in there as a love interest or possible love interest for Steven Rogers. You know, or just being the girl who's gonna get them their stuff.
Yeah.
She's gonna kick ass as well. You know, just because we didn't show you in that film and stuff doesn't mean it's not possible.
Yep.
You know, I love the way they utilize like everybody. Like it all makes sense.
Yep.
They tie in like you know what I'm saying, Agent Carter's death. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like there was really not too much left unsaid. Yep. You know, the thing with Hydra is still an ongoing thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not
but
quite
they do that
done.
on purpose.
You know what I'm saying? But you know, but I like that. I mean, there's really nothing. I mean, if I had to put this film like kind of rank in order, like of like when I put Marvel films at, I would say this is my third favorite Marvel film out of all of them.
Same here. Yep.
First being Avengers, second being Winter Soldier,
Same
and
here.
third being this.
Same here.
And if I had to put this in order of like my all-time favorite comic book films, you know what I'm saying? I would still have this probably be still my third.
Yeah.
And then my fourth, you know what I'm saying? Oh, so it'll be those three, and then the fourth will be Dark Knight. And all four of those have one thing in common: they have story.
Yeah.
You know.
Really
Dark Knight
good
was just
stories.
lacking really just all this kick-ass action, but this had
Yeah.
an abundance of, you know? This had an
way more than
abundance
I
of.
expected. Like when I went to see this movie, I was like, all right, I'm expecting fighting, and I was like, whoa! Not only did I get fighting, but I got fighting, and fighting that actually made sense. Like not just
Yeah, it wasn't just like
thrown
stupid
in there.
action just to be action, you know?
or
like,
just
we're
to look
gonna-
nice. Just like,
Yeah.
oh, this looks nice. Like no, there's a reason behind why this is happening. I totally agree. I think the ranking is 100% what I think. You know, same thing. It's Avengers, Winter Soldier, and Civil War. I mean, it's just like you said. There's very little. There's nitpicking things that I can say like, okay, maybe this, maybe that. But overall, I enjoyed every minute of it. I felt the action was great, the story was great, the characters are great, and again, the comedy. Like this could have easily been a movie that would have been so dark. And you kind of need that levity, Batman vs Superman, where they had those moments where I was like, okay, I'm getting the full spectrum of what it is when you read a comic book. I mean, when you read a comic book, you expect to see those action scenes. You expect to get a good story. That's why you keep coming back week after week to read a comic book. You're not just seeing the pictures. You're seeing what's behind the pictures. Like, oh, this character's doing this now. And, oh, they're fighting. And, oh, this story's getting better and better. And, oh, there's jokes. Oh, look at this panel with this joke. Like, that's what you want. That's using a comic book as a reference as its full potential. Like you're
what's
taking
gonna have you going back
everything.
the very next month to get the next issue? You know what? Like, and that's the thing I like about this. They went out there and like their gold standard was trying to be good enough that they couldn't get a bad review from what was it?
Oh, Honest Trailers.
Honest Trailers.
Yeah.
I think the other one they should have did also was like I want to make a fan film for the fans.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Not just the Marvel fans, but comic book fans in general. Let's make one. Let's make it for the diehard DC fans that they're gonna love Batman, Superman, no matter what.
No matter what,
But let's get them over here. You know what I'm saying? Let's get a film that even they could say, no, we're not done. Like anything, this is how you really have to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I like that. Like I felt like they were really trying to make a good fan film. I feel like Josh Whedon does that. I feel like the Russo brothers
Definitely
do that. And you know. I'm not going to say that the next Avengers film that they're going to direct is going to be amazing because I never sign off on anybody.
Yeah.
I always say that. I'm the biggest skeptic. I'm like, it was an amazing film. If I rank it from 1 to 10, I definitely say this is an easy 9.
Oh, definitely.
This is an easy 9. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's easy 9.
Seen it again.
I would say easy, probably even a 10.
Yeah.
I'll probably even say it's like a 10.
This is my second time seeing it, and I actually gave it a point. The first time I was like, all right, maybe I was a little too critical. I watched it again. I was like, oh, I missed that. Okay, now definitely this is like...
Yeah, off the top of my head, I say it's a 9.
Yeah.
Possibly a 10, you know?
I'll give it a strong, very strong 9. I mean, Russo's brothers, and this is the one time where you look at their interviews and you can tell like they are genuinely comic book fans, and Russo's brothers said it from the beginning. They're like, look, we come at it as comic book fans growing up. We know how important these movies are. They never tried to shortchange it. They never tried to say this is like a Godzilla film where it's just about action or just about the costumes or just about the spectacle. They know that comic book movies have a lot more than just being a comic book movie, that there's a lot more into it. And you can tell with Winter Soldier and Civil War that they're treating this not just like a throwaway action summer movie. It's like, no, we're gonna make this a complete film. And both films, both Winter Soldier and Civil War, to me, feel like complete films. I'm not just getting shortchanged and it's like, oh, cool action, yeah, cool shot. All right, the rest of it sucks. It's like, no, it's full. It's a full movie.
Yeah, it's definitely full. And it's like you said, you know, they're trying to make a comic book film. It's not like guys who got assigned a comic book a movie and they don't give a shit about it. Like
yeah.
Tim Burton, like when you hear him behind the scenes about him going to do Superman and
He has
stuff,
no idea.
you know,
He
it's
has
like
no idea.
you could tell when he was talking about like when they were gonna make that Superman film, but thank God didn't get made. But he didn't even like the character. He's like, oh, the guy's got this underwears outside, this kind of gay or whatever. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? Look at you. You know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna really judge that. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna judge that character, and it's like you don't even like the characters. You know, like Nicolas Cage when he's playing this, I feel like he didn't even like the character. I'm like, why the hell you even name your son Kal-El? Like you're making fun of the characters. I feel like here maybe not all the actors cared about what was going on, but the main important thing the directors cared. You know, and when the director does not care from the beginning, and I feel like it shows. I feel like it really shows because then they're not trying to make the film that they should be trying to make, which is a fan film for everybody. Because here's the thing, you don't need to be a comic book fan to appreciate this film. That's the thing about it. And just being a comic book fan makes you appreciate it more.
Yes.
And that's what it comes back down to for me, you know, is that if I wasn't a comic book fan, I would still like this film. I still think it's a great film. I still think it's probably the greatest probably ever. You know what I'm saying? But the fact I'm a comic book fan, I appreciate it even more.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I like the most about what they bring to the table. Like the thing I like about this film, you know, it's like I said. As for the film itself, I don't have any beefs with it. There were things I would have done different and stuff. Yeah. In the sense like what I would have done to kind of restructurize like all their phases and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Because I feel like they are rushing too quick. Because I feel a Civil War storyline was a storyline they used in Marvel as a way to boost their comic book sales at that time when the comic books were established for a long time, like decades. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? For almost a century and stuff. Okay? But... And I felt like maybe the movie should have done the same thing too. Is kind of leave this in a back pocket in case, let's say, they went to a dry period, which I don't think it could ever be if you just do it proper. You know what I'm saying? And but for like the film it is itself, you know what I'm saying. And I'm just going off of the film. There's really nothing bad I have to say about it. You know. And
again, it goes back to. Like you said, the difference between...
And what they're working with. Like, listen, we're going this direction, you guys are leading us in this direction, then let's go ahead, and we're going to have to use this. We're going to have to do this. Yeah. I'm even curious about... This did leave that world, like, kind of very chaotic. I feel like, I don't know what they're going to do after this. I know the next big film they got going on is Doctor Strange, and that's a very important character that I told you prior, but they cannot fuck up. There's 5 characters in Marvel you do not ever want to miss up these characters because I feel like they're the 5 most important characters. Doctor Strange being one of them. You know what I'm saying? And Reed Richards, and the Fantastic Four, which has nothing to do with these guys now. It's a damn
something
shame.
Different,
Hope they get it. And hey, also, by the way, if you guys want to see, if you guys like the way Spider-Man is in this film, just imagine. You know what I'm saying? When he gets his own soda film. Imagine when we get the fucking Fantastic Four back. The X-Men back. I mean, they got that shit coming out like in 2 weeks or something like that, And how horrible that's going to be.
I already heard bad reviews, but yeah, we'll check that movie out. But yeah, seeing the trailer of Doctor Strange in 3D, I was like, wow, I actually do want to see this movie in 3D because some of the visuals was it was really stunning to see. So I hope Doctor Strange does good. But I think you're right. I think that's the reason why maybe they have this gap of regular films, because now the next lineup is Doctor Strange. I think after that is Guardians of the Galaxy. After that is or somewhere in between that is Thor. So there's a lot of stuff that's happening, not necessarily within the main characters. So you're right. It's going to be interesting to see because it kind of left off where now there's the Avengers are kind of split. You have the Rogue Avengers and you have the corporate Avengers, if you want to call it that. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. But again, it was a good movie. Like I can't say enough how you can tell that they're putting a lot of effort into making, like you said, a film for the fans and not necessarily a filmmaker who's just trying to do something different or doesn't know what to do with the characters. And that was one of the things I saw in the review is like they were like, look, we understand who Cap is and we're going to make the best Cap we can do because we understand who he is as a person. We understand who Spider-Man is as a person. We understand who Black Panther is as a person. So when we make a character, we make a story around them, we're already picking what's already there from the pages of the comic. Whereas if you come in as an outsider, like you said, where you kind of know of comic book movies and you're trying to put your own spin, there's only a certain amount that you can put your own spin to it, to where it becomes just this kind of a slap to the face, where you're like, oh well, I don't really understand the superhero character, so I'm just gonna kind of make them different because I don't really understand who this character is. It's like, no, that's the opposite of what you want to do.
That's the opposite of what you should do. Yeah.
You want to make the best from the material you have because it's already there. It's there for you. All you got to do is pick it up from the page, and there you go. So
yeah, don't like, I hate when they try to do their own thing. Like me, just because all the information's out there for me, that's kind of cheating. No, you
embrace it.
Embrace it, and tell that story, because that story is already perfected as it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't try to fix what's not broken. Okay. Not to mention, if you could story tell it and can take that story and condense it, you are telling your own story.
You're right.
Okay. You are telling your own story, and
they got to remember that they're serving their job is to service the fan and the comic. It's not to be me. This is my take. This is what I want to do. This is what, because it's not that type of movie. It's not that type of legend. Like, when
listen,
people,
Captain America as a character is bigger than Chris Evans the actor.
Yeah.
Okay. Black Widow as a character is bigger than Scarlett Johansson as the actor.
Yeah.
Okay. These characters existed before they were ever born.
And they're gonna exist
after they die.
Yeah.
So make the comic book film for the fans, a true comic book film.
Yeah.
And you guys did that in this. Really, there's one thing I did have a gripe about.
Oh.
The end credits. Normally they show extra scenes.
Oh yeah.
I feel like normally they've shown like kind of big kind of things, like endings.
Right.
With this, I felt like they didn't really do that. Like they just kind of hinted at Spider-Man having his own film, and then with that thing with Captain America, I actually like that. That
Winter
part,
Soldier and
that part I like, because they need to kind of like they need to establish that. You know what I'm saying? But also felt like they could have just done it in the Black Panther film. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think you're right. I think there wasn't that big kind of Thanos-y kind of bigger picture type of thing, but I like the fact that they gave us like, okay, Bucky is now in Wakanda. We've seen a little bit of Wakanda. It gives us that little. I think that's what you're right, but I think that they were trying to give you even more of a like, hey, like this is what's coming up with Black Panther.
Panther
this is what's
film
coming up
and
with Spider-Man.
Spider-Man film. I got you, teasers and
so
stuff.
it was mostly teasers to be like, hey, these are coming like right now. Like Thanos, we have Thor Ragnarok to tease that and to tease a bigger thing. But for right now, Black Panther and Spider-Man is like, these are even more teasers to get you.
We'll give you Thanos and Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor, and
there'll be a lot
possibly
bigger.
The Inhumans and stuff, and I don't know, maybe Doctor Strange, who knows?
Yeah.
But I got you. So Ben, you know what? I have none. That's it. I tried. 10.
But good job, Marvel. Good job, Russo brothers. I mean, this is such a relief as a fan of comics to see after, Batman v Superman. Which again, look, I know that there's people that like it, and there's people that are comic book fans, DC fans that just blindly like it. Look, that's it. But for me, I feel like this is a movie that I can be proud to be like, overall, even if I'm not a comic book fan, I could look at this movie and be like, this is a good movie. Like they treated it like, more than just a movie.
It's like, how can you not like it? I mean, it's just it. Like, it's like it really would not make sense.
So thank you, Marvel. Thank you for another great time at the movie theaters. Another good story in this Marvel universe that you're building to. And tell us what you think. What did you think about the movie? What would you rate the movie? Where would you put it on the ranking of Marvel films? As always, thank you so much for watching our video. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, share, follow us on Twitter at @combo_convo. And as I always say, we'll see you next time.